Alrighty. Hello, hello. Thank you, Takaze. Hello, hello, everybody. So, welcome out. This is Ys, Memories of Celceta. I am joined by a couple of fellow Ys speedrunners. My good pals, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Delphi Knight.
Hello, I am Tuxdev.
Alright. So, and I am GhostKumo, formerly known as the Ghost King. So, we've done this game a couple times on the channel before, but for anyone unfamiliar with this title, this is an action RPG. This is a remake of a, 25-year-old game for the SNES that was released only in Japan. And this would be the 4th game in the series, and its chronology. Anyways, this is just like a reimagining, remake that's sort of in the more modern style of the games. The Runner formerly... You are not the first person to call me that, Freedom Pulse. Yes, so... When we had this at RPG Limit Break in 2017, this game was a little over 3 hours. Back in July, Exceed released a PC port for this game, and there's a few things with the PC version that just end up making this a lot faster. It always looks cut off at the edges, don't worry about that. There's going to be some turbo with cutscenes. There's going to be several new skips that were found that were available in the Vita version, but there's also several new skips exclusive to the PC version. For the category, we're going to be doing New Game, which does not employ the use of certain New Game Plus functions. Just straight up starting on a file and doing everything that a new file can do. And we'll be playing on the normal difficulty. Tends to be, in Ys games, we do on the easy difficulty, but in this game, we have a normal guard function that kind of blocks all damage incoming on easy difficulty, but just reduces it on normal. And the route for normal is a little bit more interesting, because there's more consequences and there's more need to actually strategize and use different strats in fights, as opposed to kind of just face-tanking half the game. But, oh no, it's not a botched port. This is actually a really good port. It's just, there's a couple of skips that are, version exclusive. Like, this is a really solid port.
Yeah, Exceed did an incredible job with this one.
Yeah, they did not use the Chinese port, which is a very different port handled by a different company. So, with all the introductions aside, I'm going to start the run here in... I'll give a quick countdown. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1, begin. So, this is, as I mentioned, Ys Memories of Celceta, a game that takes place in the region known as Celceta within the world of Ys, which is sort of a parallel to the real world. There's a bunch of countries. There's continents named like Eurasia, or Europa, Africa, etc., etc. But we play as this red-haired swordsman who's kind of been the series protagonist for the entire series, and basically Ys games function as sort of like adventures that Adol is recapping, so they kind of take place in their own little chronology and all that. As you can see here...
The goal is kind of that each game is actually one of his books, one of his journal books, and so some of the extra materials that you get from special editions is Exceed's version of that book.
So, to elaborate here, the main form of transportation in this game is going to be rolling. Now, this is going to change a little bit later, but it's just the fastest means to get around. As you can see here, this is actually one of the party system Ys games, which started with E7 on the PSP about 2010. But the way these work is we have 3 party members we can switch between at any given time. This is just a basic combat tutorial. We have an attack button, and then we also have skills that we can bind to 4 face buttons that you activate by pressing the right trigger, usually. These games have fully customizable controls, so I'm just going to go off of sort of the way I know the controls. Any which way.
We tend to bind our main skill on the same button as the regular attack button, so we can quickly do attack skill, which lets us gain SP and also use SP in a nice staggered way.
Apparently the game audio is drowning out the game a little bit here. Okay, we got a quick little cutscene here. I can just lower the game volume. Windows? Sorry, let me just lower it a couple of pegs.
Oh boy.
I apologize. There's a lot to explain with this game, as good as the soundtrack really is. Anyways, so we can switch between our party members freely. They have their own different set of skills, different set of attacks, etc., etc. Owl will be probably our main character for the bulk of the game, but we use every character for something. So right here, I'm going to go into the Memories cutscene viewer, which is sort of like this game's just, you know, easily accessible cutscene viewer, but what accessing this memory menu does for the speedrun is it sets all party members to a default positions. Anyone that's AI controlled is set slightly behind and to the left and right of Adol. And in that particular instance, it's really useful because it allows us to get behind the gate and save about 10 seconds, because there's a treasure chest that I have to open and get a key to that gate. Anyway, so either you want to explain combat system and extra skills.
Okay. So in this boss fight, you'll see that Ghost is guarding these flash guards, make it so that his attacks deal increased amount of damage for the next certain amount of time. If you see the blue gauge underneath the boss's health bar, that is the stun meter, and what Ghost is doing right now is an EX attack, which is a special move that builds up as you use your skills over the course of combat. And it's like, yep, boss is going down here.
What's the best platform to play this series? PC. Almost
PC
every
by
game
far.
on this series has really good PC
PC
ports.
is much better. Vita has some load issues at times.
Almost every game in this series is best played on PC, apart from maybe 8, which even that's not as bad as it used to be. So yeah, that fight was really simple. It's kind of the tutorial boss fight, and I got some really good guards, but I also got hit a few times. It was a slightly below average fight. But anyways, we saved all the miners here, and now the Governor General of this town wants us to help her out. This town here, Kaznan, is on the outskirts of the region of Celceta, and she wants us to map out the region of Celceta because the country that we're in doesn't really know much about its layout. So it's going to be this game is meant to be a heavy exploration. And right now we're just doing some basic tutorials, like, you know, how the weapon shop and the fusion crafting systems work and all that. And we're good to set off on our journey. So the game wants us to go to one of two places marked on our map. One is the giant tree in the center of the world here, and the other is the big river on the west side. We can go to either in any order, but we are going to go to the tree in the center because it's kind of built to be the first scenario you do. It's the easier of the two, and we're going to need to go to the tree first for the speed run because we need some things there that we're going to basically sequence break out of and then continue on into the game. Yeah, this is going to be quite the broken run. As a casual game, this is somewhere in the realm of 25 to 30 hours, so beating it in an hour 15 takes quite a lot of exploitation. So you're seeing me actually play as our secondary party member, this guy by the name of Duran. For any Ys fans, this game does not have Dogi in it, even though the original Ys 4 did. It doesn't really make sense in a story where the main character loses his memories, which, by the way, is the reason for the title of the game and why we have a cutscene viewer of memories. So Adol actually explored this region before the events of the game, but he lost all of his memories after he was basically attacked and nearly killed.
Right, so having Dogi around would kind of sort of invalidate most of the plot of the game.
Yeah, so Dogi's kind of the best bro and the second most common character in this series. This is one of the few games he doesn't appear in. So our pal here, Duran, which is our poor man's Dogi, he has the fastest roll speed in the game. He's slightly faster at rolling than anyone else, and so the time is just basically adds up. Wall breaking. Walls kind of aren't going to need to be broken in this game, if I'm being real. There are a couple of walls that kind of will sort of break, but...
Walls are more of just a figment of your imagination.
Yes, walls have this approximate stats that doors do to toll.
Yeah, good old East Origin. So here's where the first glitch of the game is going to come up. So, I picked up an item called a Rotodroplet in the last dungeon, right before I fought the boss. What a Rotodroplet does is it's a Phoenix down, basically. And so I'm going to actually deliberately take a death while Adol is in the water, because when I respawn him, he's going to clip through the floor, because I'm going to switch him to party lead, and then revive him. And now, while he was underwater, the game was set to a slightly lower Z-axis coordinate, and if you revive him back on land, he will be under the floor of the game. So we need to kind of use this to get across this bridge here. I'm going to load up a save, because I don't think I have enough height here. And I need to get kind of on the seam of this wall here. I use the mini-map as a visual indicator. Alright, so we're going to load up the memories again, because this is really busted.
Leave it to me.
Aw, darn. I messed up. Okay. And now Adol's back on the ground because he was set to a default position that was just high enough to be back on the ground. This allows me to skip this bridge, which is sort of meant to be a shortcut out of here after we get to the big tree, but by doing that whole section in reverse, we skip this kind of... We skip a maze, we skip a longer,
We
more
skip
rounded...
an intro town segment that's coming up.
Yeah, we skip a whole bunch of cutscenes. So this game's cutscenes are meant to be sequenced, and if you break the sequence, all future cutscenes will not load until you view a memory. I don't know why memories seem to reset the cutscenes to their current story state, but it's actually really convenient because it bypasses soft locks. Yo, stream froze. So, you have to refresh. I'll just keep playing this out. Okay. Yes, our RTMP servers had issues, so we've had to kind of stream directly off of Twitch. Okay, so what I'm doing right here is just talking to a bunch of NPCs to move this story along. Basically, half the people in this town have gone missing, and strange things have been going on here, so Adol kind of viewed a flashback and remembered what happened here.
Leave it to me.
Alright. So now that we're at the village of Komodo, story stuff happens. Everything in this story proceeds way too fast to really explain, so I'm just trying to give the Cliff Notes version. And it doesn't really matter anyway, because the story in this game is... It's enough to get you through the game. You don't really need it for much more than that. Okay, so we now have our third party member, which is a range throwing knife user. Her name is Karna, and the nice benefit of having her in the party is she... Okay, why am I hearing a clicking noise? I'm sorry. I'm just completely distracted. Yeah, there's a lot more lore to this game than story, but it fits into the series very well. Oh, doggone it. Enemy aggro prevents you from opening treasure chests. There we go. I need that Rotodroplet later.
Yeah, enemy aggro just prevents you from interacting with everything, which is really unfortunate.
So, the nice thing about Karna is she comes in the party at level 11, whereas my other two characters are level 3, which means I can get away with not having to level anytime soon. That does mean that she's going to have to do the bulk of the damage come the next dungeon, but this is fine. We only have one real fight in the next dungeon anyway, because we're going to sequence break this.
Another reason it's fine is because AI party members do significantly less damage than if you would control them yourself. Yes. So, Kana being the highest level and needing to do most of the damage, basically just is fine because that's all we care. We only care about one party member doing most of the damage anyway.
Yeah, so AI-controlled party members only do about 40% normal damage in this game. And they take less damage and they won't die as long as they're AI-controlled. Only your active party member can die, so thankfully it makes the run a little bit safer. But yeah, eventually they do stop attacking. They don't die,
but they also stop participating in combat.
Yeah, so when they hit 1 health, they stop participating. Anyway, so the strat for these guys is to attack once, and then immediately use Karna's extra skill as a finisher, because this gets all of them pulled together in a tornado that does a little over half their health, and these guys hurt a lot. So ideally, I'm able to take one of them out sooner than others. I hit them with poison, which slowly takes their health away, but their AI is not very cooperative sometimes. And what is that clicking noise? It's really getting on my nerves. Oh god, I might die.
I'm hearing it too.
Might be Kyo's. Alrighty, so now this guy's stunned and we can just wail on him. Alright, so now my party members have caught up 6 levels in one fight, and we took out these enemies without dying, which is pretty much ideal.
Sorry boys, that noise is not me.
Okay, I really have no idea then. Tux?
Is it me? I don't know.
Nah. Kyo's is muted, so... blame Kyo's. I'm sorry, Kyo's. I don't mean to blame you. Alrighty.
So one interesting thing that you might have seen there is when you swap party members, it actually swaps you to the position that they're currently at. So, does that really matter in all circumstances? Not really, but it's a fun little quirk of the system that can get you moving between screens faster if you're using it.
It does sometimes mean that it's also not profitable to switch to a party member. If you start rolling with the wrong party member, you should just keep going rather than losing distance because the villain is back there instead of in front.
Yeah, it's one of those cases of slight movement optimization. Okay, taking's gone away, so it's fine. Alright, so Karna's overworld action, as you can see, she can sever suspended cables, which is... Every character in this game has their own unique action. They're kind of just there to make sure that you have these characters around. We're going to sequence break around several of these.
Yeah, unfortunately, the glitch that lets us go out of bounds in the water basically makes Ozma's special action redundant. One of the characters' special action.
Yeah, we'll get him later. We don't need to talk about him yet. He has a couple of unique functions, and that's about it. Alright, okay. Thankfully my allies pulled the bees aggro away here. This section just makes me hate bees. No, it's not After 5. This is Tuxtiv and Delphi. Alrighty, so you're coming up on the first boss of this dungeon, kind of the mid-boss, and it's the only boss you're going to see from this dungeon because, yeah, we're going to break the heck out of this. This is a PC-exclusive glitch. Now, this game doesn't ordinarily have jumping, but it does have attacks that can knock you in the air. And one of the unique PC-exclusive things is they added chain flash guarding, which I think a lot of people complained about not being in this port after something equivalent to it was in Ys 8. So they added it. It doesn't actually benefit you casually, but attacks that knock you into the air, you can store that momentum by repeatedly mashing the guard button, and it just shoots you into the moon. And you can actually get outside the really high setup arena of the boss fight. There's several fights you can do it on. This is just the easiest one to do it.
That was also
this is not good. He lined me up against the wall. If he pins you to the wall, like, it actually doesn't work. There's a whole bunch of things that make this trick really finicky.
If you like miss the alignment, sometimes you can go past the wall into like but miss the bridge that's behind you and just fall to your death.
Alright.
That
so
sometimes
actually,
can happen too.
That was actually really fast. I don't usually get it as quickly as I did there. Alright.
yeah. That first one was incredible. And the second one
Yeah.
was still, all things considered, really good.
Sometimes the boss can really troll you and just never give you the attack you need to do the glitch.
Yeah. It sucks when that happens. So that fight's a little bit dependent on luck. We got the trick really quickly there, thankfully.
And now, time to take the exit bridge out of here.
Alrighty, so now that we're exited here, we're gonna go head off to the next scenario. I'm gonna do a quick safety save here, because I only get one shot at this. So we picked up an item in that dungeon that we absolutely need called the Dwarf Bracelet. And this is mainly useful, apart from, like, bypassing intended roadblocks. It also allows me to die quicker. So Durin is now dead. We're going to switch him to party lead, revive him again, and this is going to clip him through the floor. This once again allows us to get out of bounds. And the thing that makes this particular out of bounds really nice is because we haven't completed the Ancient Burrow, we cannot actually proceed to any future scenarios in the game. However, the intended roadblock that's just kind of like this little cutscene that happens if you try and hit this loading zone to move on in the game. If you hit it from the back end by going out of bounds and going around and doing it from the back end, you just skip all intended cutscenes and all intended like the rest of the dungeon and the last boss of that dungeon. So that just saves a ton of time. Alright, so we've just skipped that entire rest of that scenario, and we also have Karna in the party, which is something we need. If we'd finished that dungeon, she would leave the party, which would be less than ideal, because the upcoming dungeon, we need her to bypass a soft lock. Now, in this next area, we're supposed to go to that town off by the river, and a whole bunch of stuff is supposed to happen, and after that we go and we're supposed to go to the dungeon to the south, but we're not going to do that because of another exploitation of flipping under the floor to swim underneath an otherwise intended roadblock. Alright, so what's happened to this town is the river's been poisoned, and the last time Adol was here, which he has, of course, forgotten, shortly after he left was when it was poisoned. Anyways, so we view the memory here where Adol met with the village chief, this man here by the name of Ozma, who we've mentioned once or twice. He'll be our fourth party member of the game. And so we're going to ask to see him, and he's going to say that he trusts us enough that he thinks that we weren't the one who poisoned the river. But we need to kind of investigate, like, what's going on in town. Now, part of this just involves talking to a bunch of NPCs, and soon after, Ozma will actually reveal that the ones responsible are the village's sacred beasts, who kind of everyone in this town worships as sort of like this sacred religious being. So they can't know that they're actually the ones responsible for poisoning the river. But the reason they poison the river is actually a self-defense mechanism, so somebody's disturbing their lair. So, yada yada yada. He wants us to go to the dungeon south of here, and we're not going to do that because, you know, they can solve their own problems. What's world record on this? 107.27. I definitely can still improve that time by a couple minutes. My last PB lost a couple minutes to an endgame boss fight that was just cheap. Does this game or Katamari Damacy have more rolling? No comment? Alright, so the thing about dying and respawning under the floor is actually, we don't actually have to die to do this. Simply swapping out our 4th party member for our active party member and then replacing them gets the job done, because it's not about dying, it's about actually despawning the character while they're in water and then respawning them back while they're on land to get under the floor. So right here is the loading zone for a dungeon that we're not supposed to get to until a significant portion of the game later. Also, this dungeon theme is great, and I'm just going to shut up for a little bit. Real quick, I would ordinarily need to get the accessory from the previous dungeon that would let me dive underwater, but I don't have that, so the solution to this is we get out of bounds and just kind of swim around the boundaries of this area, because we're supposed to be able to dive underwater, and we just can't. How much of the game got skipped there? Probably 15 to 20%.
Yeah, quite a significant amount. It's basically the entirety of the first 2 dungeons and the succeeding story that goes along with it.
This right here is part of why we need Karn in the party. We also need a dwarf bracelet for this dungeon, so having her with us is just convenient. Oh, you think this is fast now? This is going to change in about 20 minutes. Yeah, this version of the game is incredibly broken. Even the Vita version had some sequence breaks, but the one little thing that they added to this game on the PC version cut off like another 45 minutes of the run. Alright, so we're going to position ourselves right about here. Do a memory to set characters to default position again, and then we're going to hit the dwarf bracelet and then switch over to our allied controlled character, and they're going to hit one of the dwarf bracelet sections. While being regular sized, they're going to hit the loading zone, and this means that these enemies here that normally have small amounts of HP that we can't do much damage to while they're tiny, we can hit them for regular damage and kill them extremely fast. Did she get the skill? No, she didn't. So right now we need to grind, because we are level 9 in an area that they want us to be at least level 15 for. Why do I not have an 8-bomb spin? This is weird. This is really bad, actually.
So skill acquisition's RNG.
Yeah.
So you could just get unlucky and not get the right skill.
I've never gotten it this late. I don't know what's going on. This is really bad.
Do you need Ozma out?
Maybe. No, I know. I've done this before.
I mean, I was just wondering for, XP gain.
There we go. That is the latest I've ever picked up this skill. This skill, for 40 SP, which is 4 ticks of the 10 tick sundial on the bottom right, by the way. With you can tell how much SP you have based on the blue ticks on the sundial. This is on PC. It was ported from the Vita. Yeah, so this does 40 SP, but I can get enough of that to survive and grind easily. And yeah, it's a very good AoE skill. There we go. So I just wanted to get it all to level 13 there. How much is the game? About $24.99, because it is a Vita board of a game that was 6 years old. Alright, so I need to just kind of aggro these guys away. And this guy's not cooperating. Alright, so again, I've skipped a whole bunch of sections, and my weapons are not good right now. Come on. There we go. Alright, so this is a Bronze Edge DX +5. +5 gives a little bit of additional strength. And the nice benefit of this sword is it's a significant upgrade from our default sword by quite a lot of power. So the next boss has quite some interesting strats to him. He is one of the biggest roadblocks in the entire game. So we're going to switch Ozma into the party and then de-equip his armor because he's not going to be useful to be player control. We're going to equip all our stuff here. Just make sure I have the right skills and we should be good.
The importance of having Ozma in this party is that when you have a inbound party, there's 3 different damage types, and you have a inbound party, which means like 2 of the same and 1 different. You do extra damage.
Yeah, so Ozma and Karna are both Pierce type weapon users. The weapon triangle in this game doesn't come up much in the speedrun, but it boosts all my characters' offense by 10% to have 2 of one particular type, as noted by the little icon next to the character portrait on the bottom left of the screen. So this is the toughest boss fight in the entire game. The strats for him are quite varied because I have to use both Adel and Karna for damage here. I need to take out the legs and then hit him here. And now this makes use of a trick exclusive to the PC version, which is Simul Flash, which is intended to kind of like adjust this game to be more like East 8, because East 8 came out before this port. A lot of people got used to that system, and so you can guard and then dodge at the same time. Unfortunately, this is really finicky. The nice thing about it in this boss fight is it extends the cycles of like when he is down on the ground and I can hit him. Yeah, basically extending the vulnerability period. But the caveat to this is that sometimes I can just get hit and it's not my fault. Alright, I got a second Soul Breaker here, which is Adel's finisher skill. So this is really good. Like, this is actually a really, really good fight against this guy right now. Alright, so now he's going into his desperation mode.
Super good.
Yeah, I have died twice on this fight in marathon runs before and lost like 6 minutes. So this is really good.
Yeah, that was an incredible first phase.
Yeah, Adel can only do a lot more damage than Karna, but Karna can actually hit the boss while he's standing like this. So there's a bit of a trade-off to optimize damage output. Hey, this isn't on me, dude. I'm pretty sure it's
so
not.
because we entered that dungeon early, we actually messed up a bunch of event counters, and there's supposed to be a bunch of cutscenes going up to this next town, but we just don't have to see them at all. We also skip like everything involving the next town in terms of like the intro segments of that part.
Yeah, so the nice benefit of sequence breaking into that dungeon and skipping straight ahead to this section is all cutscenes that are supposed to play when I enter this town don't play. And also the intended roadblock where at the back end of this town where we're supposed to go, that's not supposed to be accessible for several more scenarios. Okay, so, oops, sell this. I need to sell off a bunch of useful stuff here so that I can get myself or a bunch of useless stuff I picked up here to get Karna a better weapon that she needs. So, normally we shouldn't be able to get past here, but that roadblock is not there. So, alright, next thing we need to do is we need to head for the tower that is perpetually guarded by thunderstorms on the top of this hill.
As some of you guys have mentioned in chat, this is slightly related to the other versions of East 4. This is the only one officially released by Falcom, and this is technically the official canon version of Ys 4.
Yeah, it's been sort of retconned. A lot of different things happened in that game. Lilia from Ys 2 is still kind of wandering around with us. The game combat system is bump system still, and different story events happen, basically. Alright, so one of the townsfolk followed us up here, and she happens to have the key to get up to the Thunder Tower. This is Galilica, and she's probably my favorite character to actually play as in the game. It's tied with another one that we'll get later. Her purpose here is just to light these lightning rods. What game in this series must play? It's hard to say. Everyone says like their own different take on which game you should start with. Origins.
The answer is all of them.
The answer is all of them. 1 and 2 might not be your cup of tea, but don't let that sway you from like Felghana, Origin. This one is one of my. This one's probably still tied for my favorite. Ys 8 is phenomenal. Ys 7 is really good. So alright, we're gonna attempt a little skip here, keeping my eye on the purple circle on the top of the minimap, and hitting this loading zone in between lightning strikes. And what that does is allows me to skip having to light the ensuing 2 lightning rods, which saves probably about 15 seconds. Hey, Kyos, it's fine. We're teasing a little bit, but you know, I don't mind.
Leave it to me.
Alright, so once again, we're going to keep our eye on the purple circle there. And then once we hear that lightning strike, we're going to run for like this ledge here, which is just close enough to the actual dungeon that the game registers it as a save spot, and we skip lighting 3 optional lightning rods. Yes, many people get flashbacks to Final Fantasy X from this section. It's kind of funny to see it get mentioned. Yeah, you cannot dodge lightning strikes in this game. You can only protect yourself from them. Aw, Kyos, your tacos are so good. So the intended story path is Origins 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 8, 7. But you can really play them in any order you want. There's certain things that build on each other, but that's really about it. Yeah,
This is pretty much the one that kind of opens up most of the lore of the series.
So I'm going to view a memory here. It's not to actually reset my own position, it's to set the enemies, because there's a few frames after I exit out of that menu where enemy aggro is not registered. Or at least those enemies are not spawned to the point where the aggro prevents me from activating the switch there. So it's a little skip there.
Leave it to me.
One of the nice things the Vita version, or doesn't have, the PC version does, is you can actually switch backwards in character order, because it used to be you only had one button to switch characters in a rotation, so you can save just a very, very small amount of time. Switching between characters with the previous character button instead of the next character button. I pity you, Omni. Good luck, sir. Or man. 200 lightning strikes in that game is no bueno. So we're just kind of doing the motions to get up through this tower. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can get here, but it's not necessary for the run because we're just trying to go as fast as possible. Also, the music here is really good.
Alright, I still got Underground Ruin playing.
Okay. So this right here is intended to be a puzzle where if you hit one switch, the platforms adjacent to the switch don't go up, so you really only need to hit these 2. There's some optional stuff you can get, but I don't need it. There's also mimics here, which you can tell that they're mimics because if you go up to them, they'll try and attack you, but they don't have a treasure chest icon on the minimap, so they're easily noticeable. This right here is just for safety and a little bit of bonus damage. Oh yeah, I need to switch over to During, because Galilica is actually the slowest roll in the game. Alrighty, so the next thing we're gonna do. There's a mid-boss on this screen right here. However, we don't need to fight him just yet. In fact, we technically don't need to fight him, but the thing he gives us is so good that there's no reason not to. Like, it's actually slower to not do so. So we're going to warp out here, and we're going to hang around the edge here and wait for the lightning strike. Oh god, I was just outside the perimeter. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to just save scum our way over to the loading zone on the left side that I'm not supposed to be able to get to until much later. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be able to do this until after I beat this dungeon. And yes, I do have to save every single time to make this most efficient. Oh darn, I almost made it. There we go. So, save scumming like that is not something you're meant to do. It's actually not really even a glitch, it's just more of a developer oversight. And it skips ahead to after you clear Providence Tower. So we don't really have to clear Providence Tower, but we're going to do a couple things for the sake of going fast here. Yeah, saving this game is like instant. Okay, so here we're going to warp up to the...
Yeah, that's a really big advantage from the Vita version, because it's definitely...
yeah, it's definitely a lot faster. Alright, so right here against the mini-boss, we're going to take a death.
I've been contributing to
Tux, you're going so robotic right now, I cannot hear you, I'm sorry.
Jeez.
There we go, you're a little better. Alright, so we're going to take a death here, but because we were on the screen outside of the... we warped straight in here from outside of the dungeon, the game thinks of it like being struck by lightning, so it's not a death that takes us to the retry screen, it's actually just a death that takes us to, outside of the, yeah. Alright. We're gonna have to get Adol into the party here. Just making sure I have everything set up, and we're gonna use Kalilica for this next fight, because dying to that boss, as we did, is similar to, it's similar to what's happened previously. I forgot, I've never actually explained that. So if you ever leave a boss room in a way that's not intended by the game is set to sort of a boss fight state. So anytime you're in a screen that has a forced encounter, or like, rather an encounter that you are supposed to fight and like it locks you in, it forces that encounter like automatically, whether or not you're in the intended story state. So we just kind of tricked the game in some ways. And so this encounter is not something we're supposed to get to until after we've cleared Providence Tower, and the main reason we do it now is, partly is it sets the story to a state later in the game, and partly because we get some really useful items here.
A very specific, very useful item.
Nice dodge. Okay, now they're dead.
Oof.
Game still seems super loud for anyone else. It sounded fine earlier when we were mixing, so yeah. It's hard to audio balance this port. They've done a lot to fix it, but it's not perfect. Alright, so this cutscene here just kind of fills in the story. We meet the main bad guy of the game. And kind of unveil this plot to find this item called the Mask of the Sun, which is basically the dark, powerful, magical item of this game. But the important thing of that cutscene right there is it gives us the Golden Wing, which the Golden Wing lets us teleport anywhere, anytime, instead of having to be right next to those warp monuments, as they're called, like the little statues. So I'm gonna go here, we can extra skill this one. Start with these guys.
So that was nice.
And start with these little balls here so they can repel you away, so you want to get behind them, so they just repel you into a wall behind them. This is the last we're really going to be using for combat. Every
Rest in
party
peace,
member in
Mace
this game,
Waifu.
yeah, every party member in this game serves a purpose, which is nice.
And then there's Athma.
Oh, he still has a purpose. He's a 4th party member, so you don't have to get Roto droplets.
Yo, I
True.
got another gold on this split. It's the 2nd marathon run in a row.
Dude, nice.
Alrighty, so this is the Gale shoes. It's really, really fast. Normally I don't pick this up, but for marathon safety I will do so. So yeah, you can see I can run really onkin fast. And this item right here is the Celceta Panacea, which is a full heal, full revive item. They're very rare, and I don't think you can buy them. If not, they're incredibly expensive. But we don't have to finish that dungeon anymore. We got exactly what we need. And yes, this split for me is literally called Gotta Go Fast. Because this accessory makes you run so fast, it would literally make Sonic the Hedgehog green with envy.
This totally is a Sonic game because we use a blue character and we go really, really fast.
And I remember I did a run of this for a previous marathon for the RPG Valkyries where somebody, like, the host, Bob the Ninja Goldfish, which shoutouts to Bob, made comment of, like, oh god, you have a blue character, an orange character, and a red character all together in a party, and then you get a pink character who has a mace. This is basically comparable to... She basically has a hammer. Yes, you also Naruto runs sometimes. So that cutscene right there specifically reveals, like, what happened, what caused Adol to lose his memories. He was attacked by the Dark God of this region, a guy by the name of Eldeal, who... You're supposed to see a lot more of him in the story, but we've either sequence broke or just flat out cutscene skipped anything that had him in it. He's going to be a very important character to the story, but we skip so much about him that it doesn't really matter. The only thing you have to know is he has an evil side. He wants the Mask of the Sun back, and his evil side wants the Mask of the Sun back, and he's going to use that to access a whole set of ancient archives left even before his time to try and kind of rewrite history. That's basically the big premise of the evil, like the big plot of the evil villains of this game. That's all you really need to know.
It's right there. He was just grabbing a warp monument for later. Since he has the golden wing, he can teleport to it whenever he feels like it.
Yes. So I can just warp there anytime I want. So this is Frida, 6th and last character of this game. She's not quite, like, as good as the second slash user of East 8, but she's still really fun to use. She's also higher level than anyone in my party, and I'm going to be using her for the next couple of boss fights. The nice thing is also she's slash type, and Adol will always be in the party because we need him for endgame, so we also get that 10% bonus for having 2 slash type users. Anyways, this is the Mask of the Sun. These villagers here found it off of Adol's unconscious person, and this girl here wants to take it from us because she doesn't want anyone to have it. That's all you need to know about that. Frida has a really useful skill here and a really useful skill here, so I'm going to set those.
Leave everything to me.
Yep.
Did a good chunk of damage there, got my strength buff off, and now I'm going to use her finisher for a lot of damage. It's going to chunk this boss for nearly half his health.
Stay out of my way.
Alright. Oh darn, she canceled my animation. This fight sucks. Just being honest, this fight's kind of bad.
Yeah. Anytime you see this little blonde hair girl on screen, you know everything's gone bad.
At least we don't have to do maximum bad anymore.
Yeah.
Leave everything to me. Leave it to me. Alright, so in a desperation attempt to get the mask, she tries to take it away and move it somewhere else. But the big bad guy was kind of waiting in the wings, ready to snatch it anytime he can. So he just kind of snatches it from underneath her fingers, and now the bad guy has the really powerful thingy, so that's not good. So we need to go chase after him. How long is a casual run for this game? 20 to 25 hours, probably. PC version has better loads than Vita, and it took me about 30, and I am a cartographer when I play games. I tend to explore everything, like map-wise. Oh god, I was worried I was stone locked there. I've never seen that happen. So, This roadblock here requires Frida's overworld action, which we will use all of 2 times in the entire run.
No.
How dare the big bad guy be... There's more to it than that. I'm giving an absolute Cliff Notes version of this game's story. His motives are a little bit more in-depth than that. This is really a series that builds up more on lore than anything else. Although the more recent games have gotten better at their storytelling.
Stories have never been anything particularly great to write home about.
Until we get to East 8.
Yeah. Even then it has its problems.
Yeah. But anyways, so they kind of retuned this a bit, but it does have to kind of stick to what the formula set by Ys 4. So yeah, there's halfway between 90s Ys games storytelling, where it's just kind of just an excuse plot, and then the other half of it is like trying to get you to care just enough to like want to keep moving through the game. There's some cool parts to it. I like it. I don't adore it, but I don't have big frustrations with it either. Yeah, it gets the job done. But the mechanics in this game are really what drive me to keep playing it over and over again. Alright, so once again we're setting up a warp point to warp back here later because it's faster to do so sooner than later. Let's not get too into spoilery East 8. Alright. Oops.
Leave it to me.
So that warp monument there, I will come back to later once I have the means to get past there. That is where I'm supposed to go, but there is a bunch of coral rocks that are preventing me from moving on, so I need to go get the accessory to destroy them. Yeah, this is just a great series. I highly recommend almost every game in this series, other than SNES Ys 3 and Ys 5. I even like SNES Ys 4, which some people say is hit or miss. Whoa, I thought the Final Fantasy VII speedrun hasn't happened yet. We're not supposed to talk about that yet, Southerner. Or Southerner. Sorry, I misread the name.
If you're looking to pick up these games, they're almost always on sale on GOG, and frequently go on sale on Steam. And PC is definitely the way to collect them all, for the most part.
Alrighty, so what I'm doing right here is rolling up here because these frogs are kind of jerks and will hit you with their tongue if you try and sprint past them. I'm not making this up. But it's just faster to roll and not get knocked out of it. That missed, that's bad, whatever. This puzzle here was meant to use the touchscreen on the Vita, but the equivalent of this is using the mouse, so I will be doing that. The only thing I use the mouse for in the entire run. But alright, so the next boss is a giant frog, and this is the one time I asked chat to indulge me on something. Go ahead and spam any frog emotes you might have. I usually say OS frog works, but several people have their own. Just give me a bunch of frogs, please. Alright, so we do a strength bonus and immediately use our skill here to kill all the random enemies that you will spawn throughout. And the really nice thing about this fight, for speedrun purposes, is the skill we have, Hurricane Spin, keeps this guy kind of in a perpetual stun lock. Ideally, we'd get good RNG, or favorable RNG, to where one of my allies would learn a skill midway through this fight, and that replenishes my SP meter to full. Oh god, that's not good. Okay, full SP. Now I just need to wait for this bit. Rita back out. There we go. We're gonna try and stun lock him for the rest of this fight. This fight's very volatile. We actually got the stun meter full, which is rare. And now he takes a bunch more damage. That was weird. It delayed before it killed him. Alright. Boss down. That fight's really annoying, but not particularly dangerous.
Huh, yeah, you're right. It just sat there, not dying for a while.
Alright, so this is the Beast King's Claws. This would be a useful item for movement if the Gale Shoes didn't completely outclass it, which is kind of a shame. Alright, so I'm gonna break these coral rocks here, and then equip Gale Shoes again. So you might be wondering why I'm using Karna in the party if I'm not using her for combat. Because Gorlika would actually do a lot more damage. Well, a little bit more. AI control party members do not a whole lot of damage. Karna has the fastest sprint speed in the game. 10% faster than Adol and as much as 23% faster than Gorlika. So everyone else is somewhere lower than her. So naturally the character who runs the fastest we want to use for the biggest length of time whenever we're sprinting. Alright, so we're coming up immediately on the next boss, and hopefully this guy's nicer than he was to me a few days ago when I did this run for another marathon. That was awful.
What a rude boss.
Yeah, so this boss is really stupid. He has a whole bunch of these little orbs on the side that heal him if he runs up to them, and my allies like to run after those instead of actually hitting the boss.
I have to wonder if it would just be preferable to keep them in evasive stance.
It really isn't, because they don't do any damage when they're invasive.
Yeah. And not like they're doing damage off on the side of the arena either.
Yeah, but they're getting levels ups, which give them new skills, which replenish their SP. Or
True.
Replenish our SP.
True.
So now that he's under half health, he's going to start going into his, like, desperation phase. And he's going to start trying to stampede around.
Yeah, here's what's super useful that we actually have Simul Flash in this game, was before we could only flash move in order to hit them while they're dashing around.
Alright, so now we're going to initiate our finisher while it's like this, and this should do just enough damage to kill him. Okay, it wasn't, but it was close enough. There we go. Nice. That was that was an epic looking finish, dude.
Oh, I'm excited.
The Matrix dodges. That was not the intended finishing strat. That was a little bit of improvisation, but it worked.
That's East in general.
Yeah. East games are an art, not a science, in the words of my good pal Gulo too. Alright.
We have strats, but we need to, executing them is not always guaranteed.
Yeah. Alright, so we're coming up on endgame here. Now, there's supposed to be 2 more dungeons. We're supposed to collect the pieces of the... Or we're supposed to try and get to this town, which is the ancient capital city of this region. And as soon as we try and enter what would be the final dungeon, the final boss, you know, the villains of the game come in, kind of just knock me out and almost kill me, and then enter it without leaving the key, like basically locking us out of the final dungeon. So we would need to go around collecting the Mask of the Moon pieces, which is sort of the counterpart to the Mask of the Sun that another NPC tells us about. And then once we collect that, we're supposed to go to this area called the Colonial Laboratory. And in the Colonial Laboratory is where we would get this fixed. But we're not going to actually collect the pieces of the Mask of the Moon because the 2 dungeons are too long. And conveniently, the roadblock preventing us from entering Colonial Laboratory is an enemy that we would ordinarily not be able to kill because we need a required story item. However, he has an attack that launches me airborne. Come on, do it. I've never seen him use that attack in my life. Alright, laser beam, please. There we go. So we guard it a bunch of times, store the height, and then we can actually shoot out of bounds over the door and hit the loading zone from the back end. Skipping straight into the second to last dungeon of the game, what will be effectively the final dungeon of the run. Now, the thing about this dungeon that epically sucks is halfway through, actually 20% of the way through, you find Lisa with her pal Sol Galba, the big giant gargoyle we fought earlier. And Sol Galba's going mad and lost control and heads to the end of this dungeon. And so she wants us to escort her to Sol Galba. And if you've ever played a video game in your life with an escort mission, you know escort missions suck. In this case, she cannot sprint with us, which means we have to move very slowly and methodically through this dungeon. But because we skipped all the story sequence beforehand, we can just run to our heart's content through this dungeon, so... yeah, this dungeon's
With
a
some
lot
side effects
quicker.
later on, which are very great.
Yeah, the side effects of this are kind of hilarious in retrospect. Yeah, so having to dodge whirl our way through this entire dungeon is slow, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Now-
we used to have to actually switch in Kalulika specifically because she was slowest at dashing, so we could still dash but not leave escortee behind.
I just did that for simplicity. It really doesn't matter too much who you have. But now, once again, we are way later than we should be, and we don't have any good weapons. So we're grabbing like the third best sword in the game for Adol, because that's the only thing in this dungeon that's really of any viability. And conveniently, Adol is the main character, so he's good to use it. Oh, well. We'll add us straight here. Of this party, Frida is the fastest dodge roller, so I save like a second using her here instead of anyone else. Also, this is probably my second favorite dungeon theme in the game, so I'm glad that it's still in the run, because it plays in 3 dungeons, but we only see it in 1. Yeah, this dungeon's really easy to get lost in. Now, once again, because we've sequence broke the heck out of this place, the boss doesn't actually spawn because the boss is tied to a cutscene. I'm going to save here because this guy can 2-shot me if I'm not careful. And I need him to do the laser beam attack again. Come on, buddy. This part's a little harder because there's little enemies nearby. Come on, laser beam. There we go. Wow, I landed right on top of the door. That was about as close as I could make it. Alrighty. So.
Oh man, yeah.
Since we're not gonna get a boss flag toggle from a cutscene, we're going to do it ourselves in a less than kosher way.
Yeah, so we left this boss... my menu sucks right now. We left this boss back about 40 minutes ago, and he's coming back with a vengeance. So, not the bees, not the bees. He's been kind to me this run so far, so he's probably going to be horrible. Alright. So we chained together at least 7 guards, and we got it first try. Nice. That was not the place I'm supposed to work to, but that's fine.
That was another great launch.
Disconnect there. Okay, so we skipped that. I just want to make absolute sure I have everything here, and then I have the Celceta Panacea. Alright, so this guy is kind of awful. He can one-hit kill me if I'm not careful. So the strat here, this being Saul Galba, once more, the strat here is to actually hit his feet. And then once he gets down on his knees, he'll start, I have to hit his hands. And there's a very limited period of time in which I have that I can actually hit him. And now I can strike his head where I can actually finally start doing damage. That was just an audio glitch there. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So that attack's nice because it doesn't do much damage, and it gives me a good chance to flash guard. What level am I supposed to be for this fight? Casual run? About 45, so I'm 12 levels under level, and anything he does, if it hits me twice, it can kill me. perfect fight of this guy is just under 3 cycles. Or it's just barely completable in 3 cycles. The last cycle can be really dangerous. It's the reason I grabbed Celceta and Panacea. Okay, that's not good. He leaves me stunned there. Thankfully, he didn't attack me next after that. Okay, this is fine. He didn't hit me with that laser beam, which would have one-hit killed me. Now he's down in his hands again. Come on, just barely. There we go, just barely.
Awesome.
Yes.
That fight is stressful. Okay. Yeah, everyone keeps learning skills that entire fight. It replenishes SP, but it's also, like, it's a sign of just how far behind we are in levels. Okay. So we're gonna go meet the bee one more time. And the reason for this is I have a little quirk about the final dungeon. I need something to evade some focus because they might accidentally kill the boss, which would suck.
Oh gosh.
Not enough. Oh god. Come on. Let's go over this way then.
Too easy.
Alright. Phew, we got really good bee luck this run.
Yeah, that was
Those are amazing bees.
incredible.
Those are not free.
Yeah, that trick is really hard. Like, you have to mash the guard button extremely quickly, or do what I do and cheat a little with a 30 Hz turbo button.
Yeah, so, this fight here with these 4 enemies, it may look free. This is a forced encounter that's not supposed to initiate until after you complete the final dungeon. So, by forcing it now, we kind of just straight up skip the final dungeon and can head off to the final battle of the game without doing any of that long, like 20-minute long dungeon.
Oh hey, Aura Fencer.
Yeah, Aura Fence is really nice. It's a 40 SP skill that Adol has that does really good damage.
Yeah.
Alright, hopefully I can make all the cycles here, otherwise I lose time.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a side effect of that whole skipping the final dungeon, we also skipped the best boss theme in the game.
No, Adol's dead. That's bad. It's fine. We'll get a full heal anytime we enter a boss fight, so all is fine. Okay, skip that cycle. And the next boss of this game is kind of janky. It's meant to be a one-on-one duel with Garuda, the main villain of the game. He has now been possessed by the Mask of the Sun, and even though we killed him in the final dungeon, this is his phantom. I heard that audio cue there. The escort that's meant to be in that previous dungeon actually gets forced onto us in this fight. I don't know how this works, but she can heal us, so this fight's basically a formality at this point.
Yeah, she has effectively infinite health, infinitely heals Adol, and can tank the final boss.
Yeah, occasionally Gruda just like goes, "Hey, you're more interesting than Adol. Let's attack you instead."
I can die in this fight if I'm not careful, but it's pretty rare. Oh god, I was not meant to be hit by that attack. Okay. I cannot believe, I don't even, yeah, this fight's really janky.
Oh hey, you can
Flash
see the
dodging
boss's
mid final boss attack animation? That's not even supposed to happen. I've never seen that before. An obligatory marathon, that's never happened before. Oh god. Well, there goes PB. Bye-bye, PB. Alrighty, so now we've finished him off, and we need to cast the Mask of the Sun because it is too powerful. We're gonna full-on Lord of the Rings this, and time is coming up right now. And time. Okay. 1:07:40 is what my time said there. Yeah. Alright, so we cast the Mask of the Sun into the volcano because it is way too powerful. And that ends the game. And we have been given the title of Adventurer. So GG.
Yeah, before we were just a wandering swordsman, but now we're a good and proper adventurer.
Exactly. We are no longer
So
just
proclaimed by the god of the land.
So that was 13 seconds off from my PB, which was world record as well. I was behind about 2 minutes at one point in this run, so it's good to actually get a run that actually doesn't die to Soul Galba. or
to the Underground Ruins boss,
or
whatever
B,
that's called.
or just the B.
The B.
So
Yeah.
real quick, I got one little thing I want to showcase. So, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that final boss was kind of lackluster. I had free health and just kind of face tanked him. So, we're going to do a quick little New Game Plus bonus run. I promise you this will not take very long. Because New Game Plus in this game is just as broken as anything else. Alright.
He's also doing on... Are you doing it on Nightmare this time?
Yep, I always do it on Nightmare
Oh, yeah.
because...
Heck
you know,
yeah.
there ain't no other way to go.
I mean, that's the only way to play East games, don't you know?
Get out of my call.
No one was saying it in chat. I had to do it.
Alrighty, so the PC version added a boss rush mode of this game. So yeah, you see a little timer there.
Try this. No escape.
And the final boss has an attack that knocks us up. So that timer stops if we exit the boss arena. And if we go into memories, we can flat out cancel it, and now the game thinks we're in story mode. But it gives us some of the stuff that the game's boss rush mode inherently gives you. And as you can see, I take a lot of damage. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a death here because it's just unreliable.
No escape.
Thankfully, I don't have to do the glitch again.
All bosses checkpoint at the start of the fight.
I'd like to not use the healing the game gives me, but it'd be kind of lame.
Try this. No escape. Try this. No escape.
So even though we're level 55 and have late game armor actually equipped,
Try this. No
this fight's a lot harder.
Difficulty.
This, and I can't just like spam flash guard this entire fight. I have to get good timing with it. Like, the chaining together flash guards only really works if you get the first one. I should probably mention that. I'm gonna just take this because I don't want to waste too much time here. The game gives you some healing here. And canceling that skill with... I didn't even need to heal there. So canceling that skill cancels his finishing move. And that's the final boss. Defeated straight out of boss rush mode on New Game Plus. So we're going to cast the Mask of Sun we just got in another dimension and finish the game yet again. And my timing for that is 2:25. Alright. So, that is New Game Plus, and that is East Memories of Memories of Calcutta. we call it as various different things. It is Celceta. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the run, despite some of the ad issues and stream issues. I dropped about 6 seconds worth of frames, so I really don't know what happened on Twitch's end. Yes, you did get 2 speedruns for the price of 1. Yeah, so real quick, huge shout out to the East Speedrun community, the 2 guys in the call here with me. Tux has helped with finding some of the glitches in this run over the course of the last couple of years of running this game. Want to thank, like, really it's just been me and a couple Japanese runners. Ravi Hina 0303 has helped out a ton. Like, despite not really speaking hardly any English, he's made a multitude of videos demonstrating the glitches in this game that he's spent a lot of hours trying to find and perfect and work into the route. So it's been kind of a 2-man band for 2 or 3-man band for this entire game's lifespan. But you know, we've still broken it to broken it down quite a lot. If you're interested in any of the games, check them out on Good Old Gamer, Steam. Some of them are on PS4, and yeah, like if you're interested in speedrunning, we have a Discord, all that jazz. We're always, you know, eager to help new people, you know, whether or not they're just looking to play the series for the first time or looking to speedrun the series. It's a great community, one I'm very happy to be a part of. So, up next, we actually have another Falcom game speedrunner I should probably mention. He won't be speedrunning a Falcom game. Instead, he will be speedrunning Arch and Ellico 2, which is going to be running throughout the night, and that is going to be my good pal Dowolf. So, definitely check out that run when you can of it, and I will see y'all later.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Very much.
Yeah, thanks very much for watching.